From the towers of Asgard to the vibranium mines of Wakanda, we want to hear your nerd shout. And today, we're shouting about S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, yeah!
Yeah, we're back, everybody. My name is Kevin Becker, and joining me, as always, is the nerdSHOUT team. Let's have a roll call!
Hey, guys, it's Demetris Hartman. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is back, and full-on Inhumans. I'm done.
Hey gang, it's Mark Cirillo, and let's get started.
Hey everybody, it's Keyla Teixeira. It's really great to be back. Second half of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Woo!
Thank you guys, and welcome to our very first nerdSHOUT Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. after show.
Here we are.
That's right. We are so excited because that episode was awesome.
It was insane.
I missed it.
Phenomenal.
I missed it so much, guys.
Yeah, it was, when we saw the episode, oh, why did you ever go away?
It was like I forgot how much I missed it.
I don't know what I'm going to be able to do over the summer. I'm just going to be sitting there pulling my fingernails out, I guess.
Season 3. When is Season 3 coming out?
Season 2 is not even over, I think Season 3.
Yeah.
But we are here to talk to you about Episode 11, Aftershocks of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on ABC. So, the first thing I want to talk about, one of the biggest things that come out of this episode is this new outlook, this anti-powers outlook that seems to be going throughout the entire team. So you've got the biggest members of it are Simmons and Mac. And then you've got people like Fitz and even to some extent Bobby who are okay with it.
Yeah, they're kind of impressed by the...
So where do you think this is going to take the show, guys? What do you think?
Well, my first thing was like, oh, that sounds like Civil War.
Yeah,
like,
it's very true.
They're starting to build the building blocks.
The tension, yeah.
And I think it's very much grounding it also in that feel of Inhumans is taking the place of the X-Men as well in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They are going to be the people with special powers that are born already gifted with something inside of them, kind of like the X-Men. And so there's always proponents of the mutants, and there's always opponents of mutants.
Yeah.
And I like this kind of division. And I think that that's what's going to happen going forward into Civil War. And that's why also it will be okay for us to get an Inhumans movie very much further down the line.
Because we won't need an origin story then. We've got an origin story.
Exactly.
One of the things I liked about it, I've seen a lot of people talking about this online, we were talking about it, that Simmons' outlook seems forced or harsh or not in character. And here's why I disagree. Because to me, they've been building this budding romance between Simmons and Trip. And now Trip is gone. He has been taken from her. And to me, I think it's less that she believes what she's saying about we should wipe out the epidemic that's coming. We should get rid of all of these powers. The Avengers wouldn't be necessary if we hadn't done all this. And is more so lashing out against what has taken her life away since day one. These powers, these 084s, all of these have really just thrown her life upside down in so many ways. She's separated from Fitz. She's now doing all this stuff with alien DNA and all of that. And I think it's more so lashing out at what hurt her than it is her being like, superheroes are bad. And I feel like that arc for her is going to be beautiful.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting. She is under a lot of duress, so therefore she can be lashing out at everything. I think it will, though, send her down a path where she will kind of be... I have a feeling that, like, Sky and Simmons are kind of going to mirror each other, as in Sky is realizing that there's people with powers out there. She's become one of them. She has to go out and explore this because also her team is might be a little standoffish. Except for Fitz, obviously, who's like...
But we want to talk about Fitz.
We'll talk about that in a second. But Simmons is probably going to go in the opposition. Maybe work with Mac about that. Maybe be against superhumans. That's kind of... I think going to be very interesting, the relationship between Simmons and Mac and how that's going to affect Fitz as well moving forward.
Yeah, and between Simmons and Fitz, since he's already knows about, Sky's powers and is protecting her, which is, and Simmons, you all caught that, like the look where she knows too, like she knows this is not the right blood result.
There's got to be, I mean, like I am not a biologist, but there's got to be something about looking at a DNA sample and saying this is the DNA sample of a 27-year-old that we got a year and a half ago versus this is the DNA sample of someone who has grown and changed. Like I mean, again, I could be just making stuff up right now.
She is a biologist.
I feel like if you know how to read DNA, you can look at it and go like, there's something not quite right.
Or this is not the recent test. Or like something. There's a giveaway. Which is what she saw. So we'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out when we get back.
It's very exciting.
Kayla, what do you think, since you're on location, in a super secret location, what do you think
the S.H.I.E.L.D. bunker
is going to come out of this new anti-power stance?
Okay, so it's really hard to say right now, but I think Simmons is going, like Demetris said, Simmons is going to a really, really dark place. And I'm kind of scared for what she's going to do because we've never seen that side, especially when she, like, shot Raina. Like, obviously, I would have shot Raina, too, if I saw her like that. But you wouldn't expect that from Simmons' character. Like, she's never been that one to be so upfront to be in the action. She's never been that type of character, and that's changed a lot during season 2, so I'll give you that. But I think Simmons is heading to a really dark place, and I think she's going to end up hurting somebody on the team, hurting either Sky or just somebody. I'm thinking it's going to be Sky, but she's probably going to hurt them, hurt one of them, do something that she will absolutely regret. But she's headed to a really dark place, and I'm really quite scared for her. But that's what I think right now. I mean, I don't know. I just don't want her to hurt anybody. I don't want her to hurt Sky or Fitz. But that's what I'm seeing. She's gonna do something that she's gonna regret, you guys.
I agree. I think what we're gonna see is that Simmons is gonna be the domino that causes Sky to leave,
right,
and go to this Lincoln character that is this Inhuman who is supposed to help Sky come to grips with her powers.
I'm hoping it's like a big arc for Simmons where it's like Willow on Buffy when she became Bad Witch.
Dark, when she became Dark Willow and everything.
Yeah, Dark Willow.
And like Fitz has to come to her on a mountaintop and talk to her about crayons.
And just say I love you over and over and over again until she breaks down.
Yeah.
And realizes superpowers are okay.
That would be so great.
Dude, I'm really proud of our nerd cred right now. That we can do the end of season 6 of Buffy.
I was literally being like, should I say this?
Yes, you should.
Of course,
yes,
it's another Whedon show.
I'm in a safe place.
Yes, you are. Hey, safe place.
Safe place.
It's okay.
Speaking of safe places, that was actually a brilliant transition. Speaking of safe places, let's talk about Fitz and Sky at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
So we've talked about Mac and Simmons. So Fitz finds out about the powers. Fitz covers for her when May and Simmons almost find out. He switches the sample.
Yeah, and it was a great turn of events as well.
I loved it. Where do you... And actually, we had a question. Let's go to the Twitter box. It's Transcended Networks. Let's go to the Twitter box. We had a question about it. Do you think... This is from @KJ McDude. KJ McDude, how you doing?
Thank you.
Hey,
All right. Do you think that Sky and Fitz will grow closer? Will that also drive them away from the team and their anti-power stance? So do you think that if Simmons, since we're talking about Simmons possibly forcing Sky out, is Fitz going to go with her?
That's excellent. I was just thinking while you were reading it, and then you asked the question. I'm like,
yeah,
that's great. That
KJ McDude, that was a good one.
That would be amazing. What if they do actually end up finding some healing in human that helps bring Fitz back, heal his mind?
It's a huge risk for Fitz too. I mean, just because he even says he's like, well, we don't know what this is yet, but let's just get you out of here.
Yeah,
and I think I love it because Fitz has had to deal with the fact that he's different, and that has been a major point for him. And then he says it to her. There's something wrong with Ming. It's not wrong. You're just different. Yeah. And so I love how the writing of the first half of the season has set Fitz up to be okay with being different so that he can help Sky be okay with being different. It's beautiful.
It fits perfectly into it. All the pieces.
It's a great Whedonverse thing, too. That happens a lot.
They come together, and it just makes that whole hiatus totally worth it because they really picked up very well. It wasn't just teasing us with more things. They went straight into humans from the very beginning of the episode.
I'm also super glad we mentioned this back when we did the last show. But who do we want to be the first person to say Inhumans? It was Fitz, guys. Fitz was the first one to say it. So, Kayla, what is your response to the new Fitz and Sky I hesitate because I'm on the internet to say relationship, but the new Fitz and Sky relationship.
Okay, so I'm already going to say it, and people don't hate me online for saying it, but I'm already going to start shipping Sky and Fitz, just because I feel like it, although I want Sky Ward to happen so freaking much. Besides the shipping, the whole Fitz and Sky scene, I just got so emotional. It was so sad and so heartbreaking because Fitz understands exactly what Sky is going through, because Fitz has been in that vulnerable state where he doesn't know what's going on, he doesn't know what's happening to him, he doesn't understand why, and because of all these things that he's been through, he understands exactly where Sky's coming from. And the same way that Mac helped Fitz kind of get back to normal, understand what happened, accept what happened to him, and just move on from it. I think Fitz is going to be that same type of relief or just that support system that Sky needs. And also, he's protecting her because right now the team, they really are heading into a really dark place, shooting all those Hydra agents. I don't want to get me started on that. It was really intense. But, he's protecting her as well, and I really like this whole Fitz and Sky thing. I love Sky Ward, but just to mess with people, let's just ship Sky and Fitz too. Why not?
Ship away, kiddo. Ship away.
Ship away.
There were a lot of just really great relationship moments, just as seeing the people interact.
Yeah.
One of the big ones that crossed over from the very end of the first half to this one is Mac and Bobby.
Yeah.
So Bobby follows Lance when he's doing the Bakshi drop, comes out with this story about, oh yeah, it's a support group. They took away the company that we worked for, and that's what we need to talk about. And it's not. The Lola model is scanning, looking for Fury's box.
Yeah.
And so we actually had a question. Well, let's do another one. Straight back to the Twitter box.
Let's go.
I'm shaking it up, kids. All right. This comes from, this is one of my favorite Twitter handles in the world. This comes from @guesthouse325. How appropriate. All right. Guesthouse325 asks, what do you think about Bobby's secret? Why do they want the toolbox? Going along with that question, though.
Yeah, there's
a second
an
half.
addition.
Comes from @Amar Kelkar, AmarKelkar, asks, is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. setting up another covert ops agency, such as Hammer or Strike, with Mockingbird and Mac? I'm going to turn this one over to our Strike expert, Demetris Hartman.
Well, the thing was that I mentioned, obviously because Strike is across the pond, it has to do with the United Kingdom more so than anyone else. Mm-hmm. And Lance has that aspect that he is British, and he obviously had some kind of training. I think that it might just bridge those two and bridge S.H.I.E.L.D. with other task forces around the globe, uniting each other to fight Hydra and to bring them down, or to track Von Strucker. I think that could lead up to, and this is something that we were talking about earlier,
so excited.
Could lead up to the episode where Von Strucker might be on the show, which we think is going to be the episode that Hawkeye is going to be on this season.
But we have more about that when we get to our villain section of the episode.
But it just makes sense that S.H.I.E.L.D., since now that it's broken down, since now that it's trying to recover and recuperate, it try and connect with other task forces around the globe, and that's also going to link with Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Right.
So I think that's a very good progression of how it might go, and maybe if Strike hasn't already been created in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, then maybe it will follow up to the creation of it, totally. Branching out.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add.
Fair enough. I think what we're looking at is setting up for something into Age of Ultron that's going to carry over into Civil War, like you were talking about with the anti-power stance. We're getting a huge bit of beginning of Civil War here, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Because if they're not working for Strike, they could be working for more of a Hammer-like organization of the government wants Fury's secrets. Granted, Black Widow put a ton of them out there at the end of Winter Soldier, but you know Fury kept some of it. It's pretty well established that Fury's got some stuff that he kept behind in that toolbox, and it's either somebody like Strike trying to get to it, it's Fury trying to get his stuff that he left behind because now he can't stay out of it,
Yeah.
which I think is probably the least likely, or it's the American government trying to get their hands on what Fury did, and this is just going to lead towards the government going, we need to have control over this, which leads us to superhero registration.
I like Inhuman registration.
Powered registration.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
What about Kayla?
The Superpowers Act.
What are you thinking about Mac and Bobby? Where's your head at?
I know you guys were like talking about strike and stuff, but what if they were setting up for a Hammer organization? And if they do, Hammer's first appearance was in Secret Invasion. So what if they're setting up for Secret Invasion? I don't know if that's thinking a little far off or anything, but that would be pretty awesome.
Ooh.
Well, okay, I really like that. I mean, since they're doing also the whole Secret Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Daisy.
Changing.
So it's possible. It seems like
they're
a lot.
changing the Marvel universe on paper, on the comics. What if they're trying to link those two with the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Maybe they're gonna try to change the continuity to fit a little bit more. Because obviously, that's one of the changes. I think that's one of the reasons they want to change it now, because the Marvel Cinematic Universe is becoming its own beast.
Yeah,
right.
They want not to be as much confusion anymore between like the Ultimate Universe and such and such and such.
Right.
So they are gonna link them all together and turn them
so.
into one continuity.
Kayla, did you have something you wanted to add?
Well, what if Mac and Bobby are Skrulls, and that's how they are setting up Secret Invasion?
Oh, what? No, but they can't because I think the rights to Skrulls are owned by 20th Century Fox.
I think
Seriously?
they're connected
Yes.
to Fantastic Four.
Yes.
Yeah.
They can't do that, unfortunately.
Which is too sad that they've already used Chitauri, since Chitauri was the Ultimate Skrulls.
Yeah.
The Skrulls of the Ultimate Universe. But we'll see. It could be very, very interesting to see if they want to do, because they're taking it in a very cosmic direction where our end game is Infinity Gauntlet.
And Hammer would be perfect for that as well.
Yeah, Hammer would be a very interesting addition. So it could be very, very interesting. So we'll see. Mm-hmm. So we've talked about S.H.I.E.L.D. Let's flip the coin. Let's talk about our rogues gallery for this episode.
Oh, yes.
We've got Cal.
Yeah.
We've got Raina. We've got, who we're pretty sure is Reader from the Inhumans. Yeah. And then we've got the huge Hydra Sting. Which, by the way, Hydra Sting is my new band name. So we've got all of that. Let's start with Hydra. So Demetri raised a really interesting question of, with Hydra gone, who's in charge? Right. Well, we know that Von Strucker is at least the highest ranking one that we've heard of.
Top
they
brass.
Say Von Strucker wants Whitehall replaced. I'm not 100% that Whitehall's gone.
No way.
I don't believe it in a comic book until I've seen them dead for at least 30 years.
Crawling out of the grave.
Yeah, I want to see a corpse in the ground who hasn't crawled back out. Yeah. That's what I want to see.
Plus, he's the Kraken. He hasn't even been mentioned as the Kraken yet. Like, he hasn't even gotten the name. That would be such a terrible waste of a great villain.
Now, the only other thing I could think is, if we are following Secret War, I could see Bakshi becoming the Kraken, because we have somebody taking over the mantle from Whitehall in the Secret War comics.
Simon Cass, man, you would be great as that.
He'd be a wonderful, and he already is Whitehall's successor. So the only problem with that is that for someone to take over the mantle of the Kraken, there has to be a mantle of the Kraken.
Yeah,
so,
no, that's true.
I mean, they could do it the subtle way that Bakshi starts doing the subliminal hypnosis again, but I want the helmet and the things. That's what I want.
That's true. That would make a lot of sense.
So, Kayla, what do you think about this whole taking out the leaders of Hydra, cutting off all those heads?
Please let us know.
I mean, I would love to see Kraken come into picture, and especially if Simon Cass takes the mantle of the Kraken. That would be really, really great, because I love Simon Cass. Bakshi is a great character, and he's just come really, really far, and I think he's gonna has a lot more is going to happen with him. So if he takes up the mantle as Kraken and Whitehall is actually dead, then that'd be really great. One of the best and most intense part of this episode for me was that entire Bobby and Hunter just coming in, that where all the Hydra agents were coming where Bakshi was, and all the Hydra heads were there. Not all of them, but like 1 or 2 of them, and just came in and they just shot them point blank. That camera shot of the guy just getting shot straight in the middle of the freaking head, that was really intense. Was not expecting that from a Disney. Technically, it's a Disney show, you guys. But it was really great. I sound so cynical. It was really great seeing a guy getting shot in the head. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that moment where Hunter just shot the dude in the head.
Just blew, and you saw the blood spatter and everything behind him. Like, wow, this is a Disney show. This is an graphic.
For those of you who were worried about Disney holding them back.
I hope that, like, in order to fight their enemies, S.H.I.E.L.D. doesn't become them in a way.
I think that's gonna be
something.
The important thing for Coulson.
And I think it's a fine line where I think it is going to be divisive.
Yeah.
Though
you have the ability to protect the law without bending it is a huge thing for people in law enforcement. And I think Coulson's at that point now where he's feeling vengeful. They took one of his, and that scene with him and Tripp's mom. They took something that was important to him, and he wants to hurt them. Mm-hmm. But I think his love of Captain America may come into play, and being like, Steve is the better man. They took Bucky, and he didn't go back at them as hard as he could have. He was the bigger man. Right. I would love to see some of that love of Captain America come back and pull him from the edge.
Right.
Or May.
Because it looks like he's going to a very dark, extreme place.
I think that they will, and he won't maybe come back until like very late in the season.
I see a major group splinter coming up.
Oh yeah, they're going to be completely divided, and it would be great if we do see Fitz kind of leaving with Sky because of that. Yeah. He's seeing that this group is kind of falling apart. They're becoming more like Hydra than the S.H.I.E.L.D. that they were hoping to be.
Yeah.
And so it would be excellent if they can, in fact, put these people together, mend their relationships either at the end of the season or next season. Let them break apart and come together later on.
And Clark, he even tweeted about that. I think somebody said
he responded to us at nerdSHOUT.
Oh, it was us. Yeah.
We said that I believe it was Keyla who tweeted it. Then I've never seen Coulson that angry, and he was like, "Ain't seen nothing yet."
Ain't seen nothing yet. So I'm excited to see how far it goes.
So we've talked about Hydra. Let's talk about the other bad guys. My favorite bad guys are obviously Cal and Raina.
Yeah.
And Raina, to call her a bad guy is...
No, we've talked about this before. Yeah,
that poor girl.
She's a vigilante, and now, I do sort of...
Now she's just lost.
She was a beautiful, beautiful woman.
And now she's covered in thorns.
She is.
But
people thought that she might be Thorn's a character, but that's not really...
Thorn's a guy.
Yeah, Thorn's a guy, so like...
He's a mercenary.
And Raina is a character.
Yeah,
I
think...
Yeah, Raina's already a character.
I think our closest is that we're going for Savage Land Raina.
Yeah,
who is a mutant, but Quake was a mutant as well, so I mean...
Well, Quake was... Her dad, who it looks like Cal is in fact Mr. Hyde, because when he flipped Raina, I was just like, "That's amazing."
Yeah.
He gave himself the serum that gave himself superpowers, and then that got passed down to Daisy. So it's less mutant and more. I would put them in the radiation category, like the Incredible Hulk.
She's also her mother was Inhuman.
And Sky's in this Sky's mom's an Inhuman. So there's a lot going on there. But since we're talking about Inhumans, one of the things that we were talking about is Cal mentions they're going to put Sky in the Index, and we know from season 1 that the Index is S.H.I.E.L.D.'s database for superpowers because I need to get a hold of them. I think that this is our beginning of the MCU's attempt at either the Masters or, because it's kind of the second tier, the Emissaries of Evil. So I'm super stoked. I want to see that, and I want to know, who do you guys want him to put on his team? Oh my god. Who's your super villain dream team for the MCU? None of the big ones, because he's not they're gonna save those for the movies.
Exactly.
But, we had Absorbing Man.
Yeah, that's true. And I don't think we've seen the last of him.
I don't know that I'm that picky about it. I just want... I'm so excited about having a villain team.
I'm a sucker for superpowers.
Yeah,
that's because they can go so many routes, and I don't know, man. I don't know. It would be beautiful. It would be beautiful to just see that be a through line to the next season, perhaps.
Yeah. I
already said like my favorite supervillain team is like the Serpent Society. I just thought they were hilarious, so I liked that a lot.
Yeah, I think this half of the season seems to be pointing itself more towards powers. We're getting away from Hydra. Hydra's still going to be a thing because you've got to eradicate it entirely. But like we were talking about, there's a rumor that Strucker is going to be on the show. He's going to come and do at least one episode. Jeremy Renner was doing interviews this week and talking about he's big in the Quicksilver Scarlet Witch story. And so, like you were saying earlier, I think Hawkeye is going to be on the show because he's talked about he got back in the suit for something, but he won't say why. Yep. Hawkeye's going to be back on the show, and it's going to be him hunting Strucker, and I think that's going to be our first connection to Age of Ultron, because we know there's going to be something else that spins out of it. Yeah. But we'll see. Kayla, how do you react to the possible Strucker and Emissaries of Evil showing up on the show?
I don't know how I feel about like Baron von Strucker and then Cal supervillain team, because it's like two antagonists, and I would like them to like just have just like one bad guy, which kind of sounds a little dumb, but you know, that's how I feel. Or like to just have just one antagonist and just focus all their strengths on just that one antagonist of the show. And I would love to see Baron von Strucker, because I would love to see, like you guys said, Jeremy Renner, Hawkeye might appear in the show, so that'd be nice to have him come on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Another thing is, with Cal's supervillain team, I can't really think of anybody that I would want to be on the supervillain team. It's really kind of open because it's coming from S.H.I.E.L.D's index of superhumans or whatever. But I mean, the few Inhuman supervillains that I know on top of my head, there's the Unspoken, there's Maximus, two badass characters, maybe a little bit too large of on a spectrum for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Maybe that's more of a cinematic universe type deal. But Edward James Olmos, I'm saying his name terribly wrong, I'm really sorry, speech impediment, but when he comes in later on in the season, what if he is playing one of those characters that Cal is bringing together to start this whole supervillain team? That would be kind of awesome.
I think that's probably
that is quite a good
I think
idea.
Edward James Olmos is probably in that Emissaries or Masters of Evil that we're looking at.
Which will be exciting, because he's got a lot of gravitas.
Yeah. So before we wrap it up, we're going to go ahead and take it to the Twitter box one more time.
Yeah, let's take it back.
We want to go to a shout-out, a nerd shout-out from one of you guys. Our question that we picked for this one, we've had a couple throughout, but the one I want to talk about right now comes from @Faye_616. Also appropriate. And it says, will Sky have all the abilities like her comic counterpart? Enhanced strength, speed, reflexes, besides her earthquake ability? I think yes. I think all of those changes to her DNA that Fitz saw means we could see a ton of really cool stuff.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's going to be so much evolution from now on, because now that we've introduced Inhumans, we can go in so many routes. We can keep introducing more and more and more and more characters. I think we're going to stick with smaller characters. They're going to keep everyone like Black Bolt. Everyone is going to stay till like the very end, like the movie, to be introduced, or perhaps even in Civil War maybe introduced.
I think that's too early.
It is way too early. That's true.
We'll forget about him in 3 years because it got pushed back because of Spider-Man.
Right, that's true. But what if it's maybe like they can get introduced in part in like Wakanda,
maybe,
or something like that, or through Black Panther. Meaning
there are obviously cities like Attilan somewhere, because they've got the one that they've already drowned. I think the full Attilan is still somewhere they haven't found. That's probably where Black Bolt and Medusa and Lockjaw all are.
Lockjaw.
Does flooding it seem like not a permanent solution to you? Because I'm like, that's why we have scuba gear.
It does.
And mutants and Inhumans that can breathe underwater, or like, I don't know.
Yeah, fair.
I was something that stuck in my head when I was watching.
Fair.
But yeah, I mean, I think she's gonna have superpowers and everything else too, because I just think that's part of it.
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, we want to say thank you guys so much for sticking with us. We are so excited to bring you more and more about AIDS. There was so much we could have talked about. We barely touched on Raina, so we're going to keep talking about her. Let us know who you think she is. Who do you think Raina is? And always use that hashtag nerdSHOUT to let us know, because we want to talk to you. We want to keep these conversations going. While you're here, go ahead, go on down, hit that subscribe button so you can see all of our nerdy stuff. I'm doing a review of the Rebels Season 1 coming up. We've got all kinds of other cool stuff. Let us know what nerdy things you want to talk about, because as long as we're here, we want to hear your nerd shout. All right? Thank you guys very much, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Hey everyone, before you get going, we want to give some special nerd shout-outs to some really great fans online. Shout out to @WardsWarriors, @StandWithWard, @S.H.I.E.L.D. Radio. If you haven't listened to @S.H.I.E.L.D. Radio's podcast, the Helicarrier podcast, you need to go do that right now. You can find that on www.helicarrierpodcast.com. You can find all those three people on Twitter. If they have a Facebook, like them on Facebook, follow them on Twitter, and of course, like this video, subscribe to nerdSHOUT now, like us on Facebook, comment below, find us on Twitter, keep the nerd conversation going. We love talking to you guys. We will see you next week here on nerdSHOUT for the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. After Show. Bye.